Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, well, this is it. It's the last one of the season. That's right, it's the football podcast. The guys are here, they're talking about the last game of the season. I believe there's some season-long predictions to get into, and just generally wrapping things up for now. Obviously, we've got the World Cup coming down the pipe, so, there's still football to come. I don't know how much of it's going to be covered by these guys, but there is still football on the horizon, so we don't need to panic. But let's check in with the guys, see what they think about how the season ended, how they're feeling. Some maybe better than others, shall we say. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. It might be the last one, but that doesn't mean that there's not plenty of fantastic football content to share around. Do get sharing. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and apologies to start off with, as this podcast is coming to you technically a week later than it should have done, as obviously I wasn't in the country when we should have been recording last week's podcast, as my good lady wife had arranged to take me away for a couple of days as I was turning 40. What a lovely woman she is. So apologies that it's a week late. But we're coming at you with the final week of the season's reaction and our season-long predictions roundup. So, as per usual, I'm joined by three, not just two, not just one, three happy, smiling faces. How are we doing this week, gentlemen?
Fine. You?
I've had better Saturday afternoons, which we'll get to very, very shortly. I mean, let's not even look at the actual result of the game. We'll just discuss the 6 hour car journey that I had, and then the mad hour travelling time that I had left from Brent Cross Shopping Centre to Wembley Stadium. I believe I got to my seat with 2 minutes and 45 seconds before kickoff.
Oh, well, that's better than I thought you'd done.
Oh yeah,
because by your messages on the day, I thought you'd missed the first 5 minutes of the game. So,
oh no! I was definitely in my seat as the players were coming out. So I was there. I was there for the full shebang.
the endurance session that was.
Yeah, well, let's not beat around that particular bush any longer. Obviously, the first game to cover from week 38's games was indeed Hull City versus Middlesbrough in the playoff final. 3/4 of the podcast were in attendance. I in the Middlesbrough end, Stuart and Max in the Hull end, and at least one of you would have been directly in the sunshine, I believe.
That was me. Or Max as well.
Oh, had you both taken some sort of sun barrier cream? Or...
Yes, I had 5 pints before the game. That was my barrier to the sun.
Excellent. And obviously the teams had lined up to kick towards their own supporters in the first half. Can anyone remember anything decent happening in that first 45 minutes?
I think we had a shot. We had a header tipped over the bar by your keeper.
Yes, and that header came from, I'm pretty certain, the smallest player on the pitch.
Correct.
As I believe it was Louis Coyle up from right back.
Yeah.
To put the fear of God into Solbring. Yeah, that was it. It's not. It's definitely not sour grapes. Me saying that it was a game of few chances. Shall we put it that way?
I I mean, let's get into it in the regards of it from a City perspective. I thought that they set it up very, very, very similarly to how we played when we played actually at your place just after
Mm-hmm.
Christmas. They were content to let Middlesbrough have a lot of the ball. Basically, you have that, lads, and tire yourself out, and we'll see you in half an hour, sort of a situation. And they just tried to pick them off on the counter. Um, the problem was every time the ball came out of our defence, it was just getting recycled straight into your attack. Um, and
Yeah.
it there was patches of that first half where it just felt relentless. I mean, it must, without, I'm not saying this to like rub salt or anything, but it must have felt very much like the first half of that Southampton playoff semi at your place all over again in some
Yeah.
respects.
Yeah. Again, I think you could argue that Hull played better than Southampton did in that game. To be honest with you, because at least Hull had some of the ball. And like you said, they obviously they created chances. It was strange because even though Borough had the most of the running in the first half, and probably for the full game, to be honest with you, um, it was the standard story of Borough's season in the fact that they had chances, none were clear cut, and none were. I don't think Panda had a save to make. So
Well, the official statistics read that across the game you had 13 shots, but only one of them on target. And I don't care what division that's in, whether it's in the the richest prize final in football or you're the bottom of the National League. One shot on target for your team is not going to be fun to watch. I mean,
no,
Hull weren't much better because we only had two, and one of them was spoiler alert, a goal, and one of them was the header that was tipped over. Weirdly, Borough's best chance was the one that was then offside when I can't remember who it was now. Got played clean through, and still
Hansen
managed to
maybe.
force Panda into the save, who spooned it round his left upright, but the flag obviously by
I
today's
think I,
standards, went up marginally early, and I mean, sort of 30 seconds after the ball had gone out of play.
I think off the top, mate, it might have been Hansen, but it was a strange one because obviously, like, we'll get into the second half. Obviously, again, nothing really happened, and then must have been around the 70-minute mark was when Borough rung the changes and brought Hayden Hackney on to a good response from the crowd. And I don't know if the game plan kind of went out the door 45 seconds later because Hackney came on to obviously play as part of the midfield with himself, Aidan Morris, and Riley McGree. And literally within, I don't even think it was like a minute, McGree went down injured and had to come off. And I think that kind of scuppered the game plan really because he brought off the guy who was playing up top. Strelec was taken off and Hackney was brought on. So they'd already had to do a bit of a reshuffle anyway. So Morgan Whittaker had to go up top, and they kind of reshuffled the midfield so that Hackney was probably the point of the attacking set of the midfielders, with McGree sort of supporting him. But like I say, within seconds of Hackney coming on, McGree had gone down injured, so whatever the plan was had to be changed immediately again. So Sonchi Hansen came on for Riley McGree after 76 minutes, and then just you could see that Hackney was that they'd obviously rushed him back. He clearly wasn't fit enough to play, but I think it was a case of see if you can give us 20 minutes, see if you can just pick the ball up, and if you just if you can get out of your feet and get a shot away, see what happens. Strangely enough, it might have just been a case of pepper the keeper, see if he spills something, and clean up the scraps. Little did we know that would end up being the thing that cost the game for Middlesbrough. So I'll turn it over to you boys to talk us through the winning moment. As even though it happened at my end of the ground,
Yeah.
It sounds a bit weird, but and I don't know if it's just like a sort of a coping mechanism or something like that, but I've kind of wiped bits of it from my memory, to be honest.
My memory of the goal is through watching replays and watching the game afterwards. Because when Hull City scored, I was washing my hands after having a wee.
No way!
Charlie Hughes had gone down after Semi Ajayi had rifled the ball into the back of his head.
I forgot about that.
At the time, I thought
fucking sniper in your own ranks as well. I was like,
yeah, it was good, wasn't it? I thought Hughes has been down for about 3 minutes. He's probably going to be down for a lot longer, so I'll go for a wee. Having watched it again, because I watched it a couple of days later just to, enjoy it again.
Oh God!
Charlie Hughes was actually only down for about 45 seconds. So I was living in some form of time warp at that moment. Heard some quite muted cheers. So I went, oh, shit. Thinking Middlesbrough had scored. Was walking through, trudging through the walkway. Saw some City fans in front of me jumping around, and I was like, maybe it's been disallowed. And then I came out and saw all these City fans cheering McBurney running off with no shirt on, and I was like, oh, I've just missed the best moment of the match, haven't I? Great. Turned to the bloke behind me and was like, when I got back to my seat, was like, did I miss anything? And he was like, you're gonna miss the goal, mate. And I was like, oh, great. And yeah, so.
Well,
but yeah, so
I was going to say, Stu might have to sort of fill in the gaps for me. But was it a crossfield ball into Hirakawa, or was it down the left hand side, or?
So it was a pass from Louis actually, because they'd had to, I believe they'd had a bit of a sort of a switch around, hadn't they? Some substitutions had been made because Louis had gone to left back because Cody Dramé came on 76 minutes at the same time actually as Yu Hirakawa. Me and Max had exchanged a couple of texts, and I think I've messaged you boys about this as well. One of the guys going off was Mohamed Baloumi, and he was absolutely fuming, full on tantrum, kicking water bottles as he went off the pitch. And we could see it, and I'm thinking, I appreciate it's the heat of the battle, it's the biggest game. How many kids are watching you do that now, you absolute prick? I hate to see that. Anyway.
No offense to it either. It wasn't as if he was having a great game.
Exactly, but I would say that about both of the wingers because I would hope that certainly the two of you that were in attendance would also agree. Liam Miller was fucking wank, and there is no other description.
Mate,
that's what I read on the BBC website.
I personally thought he had a great game.
Yeah, me too.
In the same way that you boys,
me too, because then he went off and they had to change the wingers.
Absolutely excellent.
No, he was terrible, but he had such a good game that he got himself subbed off, and they switched it all around, and then that didn't work either. So they subbed Baloumi off at the time and brought on Hirakawa and Dramé. So Dramé went to right back, Louis went to left back, and then on the break, the ball came out down the left. Louis threaded it through to Hirakawa further out left, and he, for want of a better expression, ran like fuck at your defence, who disappeared. They backed off on the wing, and what's the first thing you taught as like a right back or a left back? Stop the cross. Nope.
Show him on his weaker foot. Yeah, absolutely.
To which the cross came pretty much hard across the 6-yard box, but at a decent height, and for some unknown reason, the keeper just decided to high-five it into the path of an on-rushing Ollie McBurney, who, to his credit, it was a tap-in, but he did have to readjust because he also had a defender in front of him, and he basically got the tap-in, looked around just to make sure that there was no flag, no nothing, because I've seen it back 100 times, and right now I still can't remember who it was. Somebody else was running in on the goal line, and they missed the ball, thankfully, because if they'd have touched it, it could have got worse.
It was Joe Geldhart.
But then he didn't know what to do, clearly, other than take his shirt off and run towards the fans, who ended up being
No. No, he knew exactly what to do. He was basically at the right. It couldn't have fallen at the more perfect end for him because he knew he was going straight into shithouse mode.
Yeah.
And again, potentially sounds like sour grapes, but I think that at least one of you might back me up here. The fact he was given man of the match, I think, is an absolute disgrace because
it is.
apart from being in the right place at the right time, he did fuck all during the rest of that game. He ran the channels
Hit
well,
the bar.
but at no point did he actually hold the ball up and bring other people into play in a dangerous position. He wasn't. It wasn't as if he was running the defenders ragged. I felt, other than the goal, our centre halves had a lot of your players pretty much well shackled in the same way that the whole back three had the Borough front line fairly well shackled most of the game. So I just think it's that classic 1-0 playoff final cop out man of the match where you just give it to the guy who scored the goal.
Do you know what?
But if it was me, I'd have given it to one of the back three, like John Egan probably.
I was going to say
would have been my choice.
Yeah, Egan for me had a good game. But you say that classic. When has the playoff final really ever been a great advert for the championship? Because there's such a lot riding on it. It's just they just set up to not lose the game.
Yeah, crossover podcast theory. Me and Andy discussed this when we did the Super Bowl wrap up. How many times the Super Bowl's built up as this, like, the spectacle of all spectacles? It's the biggest game in American football. How many times does it actually deliver?
I never watch it. That would be the kind of... I don't watch it because it's crap. And yeah. It's like it's the FA Cup final, isn't it? When was the last decent FA Cup final? And
true.
They go there to not lose. You might say the same about the European Cup the other evening as well. But yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And like I say, I didn't want to come on and sort of like moan about the standard of the game, the quality of the game, and stuff like that, because I didn't want it to sound like it was me just moaning because Borough had lost. But honestly, as a neutral, if I'd paid to go watch it as a neutral, I'd be fuming because the standard was very bad.
But the Forest Huddersfield one that we went to 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't a good game.
No, yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Because obviously the style that Hellberg wants to play is this sort of like free flowing, try and move players out of position and exploit the spaces and stuff like that. And with the greatest of respect, that is not the way that Jurkovic wants Hull to play. So you were never going to get that sort of game. That was pretty much indicated by the first game we saw this season, where Borough, like in the first half, just ran them to pieces and just pulled them apart, and they were 4-0 up at half time. So I think it was that case of once bitten, twice shy, that we was never that sort of result was never going to happen under Jurkovic again. So they had to be defensively solid, and defensively solid they were in the remaining 2 times they played them this season, and they got 1-0 results in both games. So
how many times?
That's 2 thumbs up to Jurkovic for me.
How many times as well, like in that game, were they content to let Borough have it kind of maybe 5 yards further out from the edge of the box? And they were happy to let them have a go, but it was blocked, or there was a last-ditch tackle, but they very, very rarely even got into City's like penalty area, really.
Yeah, I mean there was a chance early in the second half, I think from a corner where Dale Fry headed over the bar. Strelic had one in the first half that was headed over the bar. The efforts where they were close were probably set piece chances, and that was the closest they ever got. I don't think they struck the frame of the goal like Hull did, but yeah, just a disappointing in the biggest games. Sadly, this season, Borough just haven't turned up in whatever sort of guise you want to look at it.
I think based on their first half performance, I think that's a little bit harsh. But what I would suggest is, whereas our manager got it right on the day because he knew what was coming, weirdly, no pun intended. I think it's more of a case of Hellberg never had a plan B. His plan B was everything pinned on Hackney, and when that went to shit, he didn't have a clue what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've said this for the past sort of like 2 or 3 months on the podcast. The players are absolutely knackered because they're running with a squad of about maybe 16 players that are trusted to get minutes in the first team, and it's being supplemented with a few youngsters here and there, a couple of loanees that were brought in and stuff like that. But on the whole, if you look at the players that have played the last 15, 16 games of the season, I'd be amazed if it was more than 16, 17 players. And at this point, they get to like 75, 80 minutes into the game, and you can just tell they're blowing out of their arse. They haven't got the stamina. So I would imagine that this pre-season, obviously he'll be given the list of players that he wants to bring in, or the targets that the recruitment team think fit the mold of what he wants. And I would imagine that first sort of 3-4 weeks of pre-season will just be, lads, we're going to run your bollocks off. You're going to be fitter than you've ever been. We want to play this high intensity style, and to do that, you need to be able to play for 100 minutes because stoppages are bringing that in. Like, when does a game rarely these days not go to 97 plus 98 minutes and stuff like that? So you need to be on your money. You need to be ready to play pretty much 100 minutes each week nowadays. So yes.
Do you think that was? Sorry, I was going to say, do you think that was a bit of naivety then from Hellberg in the final, knowing the conditions were going to be the way that they were, knowing how knackered the players were, to try and play that way and be completely ineffective, really?
Yes, but I think, like Stu says, I think the problem is that he doesn't have a plan B. He knows one like sort of system or one style of how he wants his players to play, and I don't know if it's a stubbornness, but he doesn't want to see his team playing another way. So I think he only knows how to sort of like do this press.
I will flip that as well, and I don't know how Max feels about this one, but that's the thing that has impressed me the most about Jukirovic this year. He hasn't been frightened to change it up. If there's a time when he needs a back five, we'll have a back five. If there's a time when we're going to go to 3 at the back, we'll go to 3 at the back. If there's a time where he's picked one of those and 10 minutes into the game he realises he's absolutely fucked it up, he will get that team reorganised. Like, how many times, particularly in his early tenure, did that maybe last until half time? They'd go in struggling at half time and come out second half looking like a completely different side. He really, really got to grips with that task at hand, given the players that he had at his disposal. And you can say what you want, like, in terms of, the game wasn't pretty because it wasn't. But to say it'll never ever be understated to me the fact that the transfer embargo tipped to finish not just in the bottom 3 but dead last in the division, and they've now got promoted. And it's the only pain in the ass for me is that it was against your team.
Well, we did say this. Like, we might have not said it on the podcast, but we did say off air. It was kind of the given the 4 teams that ended up in the playoffs. It was the playoff final we kind of wanted, but never wanted, if that makes sense. It was that sort of thing where the ideal situation would have been that one of our teams would have finished in the top 2, and then the other team won the playoff. But obviously, when Borough started shitting the bed, for want of a better phrase, that didn't look like it was going to be a possibility. And I mean, even in week like 45 of the season, when Hull knew that they needed to win the last game to just get into the playoffs, it was looking unlikely that we'd even get both of our teams in the playoffs in that sort of regard. So, but it's like I said to you, I'll take the loss, because from a personal perspective, it was a case of I'd rather feel upset than have 2 young boys being upset in the stadium. So I'll take that one.
Two young boys and an older one.
But you were 5 pints deep at that point, so like those tears could have been for anything, Stuart. So,
have I told you the story about the 5th of those pints, about the stout and what happened? Have I told you?
Go on. No, I don't think so.
So, did you manage? You would have completely missed the whole fan park experience then, as well.
So I literally got the tube from Brent Cross, had to go to King's Cross, then I had to go from King's Cross to Wembley, got off at Wembley Park, walked down Wembley Way, got a bottle of water, got up to my seat, didn't leave the seat until I left the stadium. So I didn't even go down for a drink or anything at half time.
Bloody hell.
And at about 60 minutes, it dawned on me that I'd eaten something for breakfast at like 8:30, and then all I'd had was a bottle of water.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm pretty sure at one point I started to get a bit sort of like twitchy, and I don't know if it's because like my blood sugars were all over the place or whatever, or if it was just that combined with the fact that I was like, basically shitting my pants.
But also combined with the fact it was really, really, really hot.
It was warm, and the boy that was stood next to me had said that they'd been on the sauce since 6:30 that morning in Middlesbrough. So
wow. Well, I went down the Friday night. Went to do parkrun and stuff on the Saturday. The first person I bumped into at parkrun was a Middlesbrough fan. Full shirt, the lot. It was a very nice guy, so we were having a good chat. But he was saying that most of the people he knew had booked a hotel once the playoffs was confirmed, and then when everything happened with Southampton, it was just they just kept it just in case. And obviously they did right in the end. But yeah, we did that. Went and got showered. Went down to Wembley very early. We were at Wembley for not that long after 12 o'clock. Obviously, I had a good walk at Wembley Way, but there was a fan park at each end of the stadium. Tigers territory, as it was billed at our end. And they had like the usual kind of like outdoor food vendors and like beers, but they had a stage with like a DJ and like a lady doing a bit of comparing, and occasionally they'd bring up guests on stage. And they introduced a guy called Brendan Smurthwaite, who is one of the fans liaison guys for the club. In a different life, he worked there when I was in the club shop many, many moons ago, so I know Bren. And he introduced on stage members of the 2008 promotion final team. Not Dean Windass, because he was in Portugal or somewhere. But there was Brian Hughes, Nathan Doyle, and then as a side, they also had Caleb Folan. And they were chatting away and stuff. And Nathan Doyle actually scored a goal in the semis to help get them to Wembley that season. Anyway, listen to all that. It was all nice. Everyone was like having a lovely old time. And then the turnstiles opened. So we went in. And Paul obviously missed out on this. I don't know what it was like when you were there, Matt, for your final. But it was like, it wasn't just like a bar. There was like a place that did stout. There was a place that did the IPAs. There was a place that did bud. There was a place that did one type of food, different type of food, different type. And it was, everything kind of seemed separate. So what was really good about it was that even though it was heaving, there wasn't really a queue anywhere. And I spotted the stout thing, so I said to Rich, I'll go and get us a pint of stout. And it was the Camden stout as well, so not bad. Anyway, I'm stood there wearing a shirt, my shirt very similar to, not the same shirt, but similar to Max's, my retro one. And I'd had the 2 pints in hand, and I was waiting for some of the crowd to pass before I could carry on. And the guy in front of me stepped backwards into the pints and knocked about an inch out of the glass straight down my top. And Max may be able to attest to that. You remember what the old sponsors were like on the shirt? They're made of felt, aren't they? So
yes.
I was thinking, well, that's that then. It's ruined. And as the guy turned around to apologise, it was Nathan Doyle. So I was stood there, covered in stout, and he's apologising. And then we had a chat about his goal in the semi-final, seeing as Brendan never mentioned it when they were talking about it on stage. But he said that that night he did like the cradle celebration, because his daughter was born in the morning and he played the game in the night. Wow. And he said, as amazing. Fun as a memory as that is, it makes him feel really fucking old now because his daughter's like 18. So it was almost a disaster with the shirt. However, the toilets at Wembley Stadium have powerful taps and sorted my shirt out as well. So on a hot day, rinsing out with cold water, that was it all got resolved, and I had a nice chat. And Caleb Folan was there as well. So bit of a interesting start before the game. But yeah, that was just a little addendum to the Wembley experience.
I bumped into Jacob Greaves.
You bumped into Jacob Greaves? Yeah. Was he there with his dad?
And he's very handsome dad, yeah.
His dad looks like he should be in an 80s boy band, doesn't he?
Definitely, 100%.
If you guys don't know Mark Greaves, just Google image search him. He is a very handsome man.
I was a mascot when I was a child, and you went and like met all the players and all that jazz, and got photos with them all. And every player was like incredibly uncomfortable with having the camera around them because it was back in like the old Division 3 days and that. And everybody would sit there like looking really awkward with these two kids next to us, me and my younger brother. And Mark Greaves suddenly out of nowhere just pulls out this Hollywood smile, goes right in front of us. So there's like me and my younger brother like seemingly about 4 feet behind Mark Greaves. He's just gone and completely stolen the camera, and we're like, oh, okay. But yeah, so everyone was like, all right. And he just looked at me as though I was an absolute moron. Obviously, Mark Greaves didn't remember me from 25 years ago. I don't know why.
What an arsehole. What an absolute wanker.
I met him for about 45 minutes.
So to put a little bow on our predictions from the playoff final, Matt had gone for a 1-1 draw with Hull to win on penalties, goals scored by Gelhardt and Whittaker. No points. I had gone for a 2-1 Borough win. I'd gone for Whittaker and Hackney because, apparently Whittaker was always going to get a shot on target. But I did console myself with a bonus point for predicting a McBurney goal. So I'm pretty sure that was, the consolation at, 96 minutes in Wembley. That I was thinking in the back of the head. Stu had gone for a 1-0 Hull win, but I'd picked Regan Slater to score the goal. So just the 2 points for Mr. Woodmansey. Max had predicted a 1-0 Hull win. And he also predicted McBurney to score after a horrendous rick from the keeper in the 95th. Oh, no, sorry. He just predicted a McBurney goal. So gets the 2 points for the correct score, the bonus point for the correct goal scorer, and the added bonus point for getting the score and the prediction of the goal scorer bang on. So 4 points for Max just from that one game alone. So 4 points to Max, 2 to Stu, 1 to myself. Matt yet to score. There is one game left for us to discuss before we go to do our season-long predictions roundup, which is Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. But before we get into that, we're going to take a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Recording in progress.
And just like that, the break is indeed over, and we are back. And we had to talk about our final game of the season to cover. And it's nice because the last game for all of our teams was attended in person. So I'll pass over to Nottingham Forest's finest correspondent from the Cookie Cast, Mr. Matthew Moore, to talk us through Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. Did you have traffic issues? Did you get into the ground with 3 minutes to spare, or were you there 3 hours before like some of us?
Well, my dad decided to book parking through some random app that he's found. And we then proceeded to drive around Nottingham looking for said parking spot for ages, as I'm like, let's just go and park at the station, Dad. It's £5. Let's go and park at the station. Let's go and park at the station. Let's go and park at the station. Let's not park up in the middle of this street as we kind of time ebbs away and, opportunities for a drink ebb away. And, he'd already changed the plans once because we were going to catch the train across. So, yes, eventually we parked at the station. Because I threatened to get out and walk was the... If you don't park somewhere now, I'm getting out and walk. Because it was just getting closer and closer to kick off. It was like, I think we got to Nottingham at like 3, and we were still like not parked till kind of 25 to.
Oh God!
I mean, the station is a 10-minute walk from where we were, but it then meant a bit of a rush. And then I don't know if you guys got like messages the day before when you went to Wembley, but all of a sudden Forest are like, oh yeah, there'll be loads of queues because the terror level is higher than what it was before. So there's loads of queues to get into the stadium and stuff like that. And there was, because obviously, like us, nobody listened to the message that was sent through. Plus, they were unveiling the renaming of the Bridgeford end as the John Robertson stand. So we missed that as well. Just all was seen was, obviously I sent you guys the picture of the stand being named, but then maybe I'm just being like an old sentimental person. For some reason though, at like 2:00, this decided to plaster it all over social media. All of the construction guys going up and putting it up on the building, on the stadium, and them showing it. I was thinking, surely just put a cover over it and do it properly in front of the fans there and stuff like that. Who knows? Maybe it would have just been too dangerous to do it with fans underneath or whatever. But I thought that kind of took the ceremony of it away.
Yeah.
We got in. God, how many? Because my dad still insists on sitting in the Brian Clough stand, which is on the halfway line, right at the back. It's a walk. It's quite a hike. So then we got in our seats, and Bournemouth started the game well. They kind of kept the ball nicely. Forest were a bit kind of chasing shadows, and then all of a sudden, I'd missed the announcement that they were having drinks breaks. So at like 25 minutes, all the play everything stops. I was like, everything stops. No one told you anything, and they all just walk over to the side of the pitch. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Where's this come from? No, they go over, have a drink, and obviously with all this kind of controversy at the moment with like stopping keepers going down for cramp and stuff like that, gave Victor Pereira the perfect opportunity to give the players a talking to. And after that break, Forest came out a bit more attacking minded, a bit more aggressive, and started kind of racking up some chances. So I think kind of just after that spell, they had a really kind of some good chances. Morgan Gibbs-White put one over the bar. Chris Wood had it. Elliot. It's the kind of same cross that Elliot Anderson's been putting in for the past few weeks, like since the Sunderland game. They take the corner short. He gets it kind of on the in line with the kind of edge of the corner, the 18-yard box, crosses it in, and you just would have put I think most people in the ground thought Chris Wood scored here. No, absolutely smacks it against the post. But then on 34 minutes, Forest got a free kick on the edge of the box. I think Gibbs-White got knocked down, taken down by Tyler Adams, who is a dirty little fucker. Like that was just my resounding kind of thing coming from that. And he's dirty and just naggy and just constantly on at people, just doesn't shut up kind of thing. I think that was one of the things that one of the guys sat behind me just stood up and just, well, you just shut the fuck up. Because he was just constantly, him and Tavernier, who we'll get back to in a minute. Just the pair of them are just a couple of shit houses in the centre midfield. And just like, but yeah, free kick, and it looked big discussion. Nico Williams was there, Hutchinson was there, and Gibbs-White was there. And then they did a little routine and ended up being Gibbs-White stuck it in the back of the net, chucked his mask off, went over to the fans, signaling number 10, pointing to his chest and all that kind of thing. Interesting fact from that was that Forest haven't scored a direct free kick in the entire time that we've been in the Premier League. And someone estimates that it might even be the previous, not just the season that we were in the Championship that we got promoted, the season before that. So it's 5 years since we scored a direct free kick, and that doesn't count either because there was the touch taken there. I think Nico Williams hit post again just before half time, and then everybody kind of went off kind of quite happy. Obviously, Areola gave Bournemouth a good talking to, and they came out in the second half flying. I think they brought on Ben Doak, or Ben Gannon Doak as he is now, and he seemed to make a big difference on the left. Jai Cunha was playing right back, and he seemed to really give him, like, get in his head somehow. I think they just thought, oh, we're 1-0 up, we're just going to coast to a win on the final day. But so then he kind of overloaded the left wing with him, the left back Trufe and Krupi, the Brazilian lad, I think he is, and it all paid dividends on about 53 minutes. I think Jai Cunha was completely just flummoxed by it all. He is a central defender at the end of the day, and like a lot of the Forest fans were giving him a lot of shit, which was unfair. But he went down. He kind of went to block a cross that never came, and Trufe just checked back in, laid it back to Tavernier, and he stuck it in the back of the net, and he did his ridiculous baseball celebration. And then went, and the game just kind of fizzled out from there, to be honest. I think there was neither team had any kind of real attacking intent from then on. Forest, not long after that, took off Elliot Anderson. Took him off about 60 minutes. Took Sangare off not long after. Took Chris Wood off. Like a lot of the plays going to the World Cup kind of went off at kind of like 60, 70 minutes. It just kind of fizzled out to a 1-1 draw. Bournemouth couldn't go any higher. Forest couldn't go. Well, Forest could have gone higher if we would have won, but it wasn't really kind of going anywhere. And a nice that kind of they did the old kind of end of season presentation, all that kind of thing. And then as I was walking out the ground, two Bournemouth lads as we were walking over Trent Bridge, like, oh, so it's a really nice ground, that really lovely ground. To which the lad behind went, yeah, anything's better than your shithole. Which made me chuckle. Obviously, Forest fans with long memories of 5 years ago. So, I mean, to be fair, they all laughed about it, but I was kind of like, oh, this could go one or two ways here. But yeah, that kind of light-hearted way to end the day.
Very nice. So, predictions-wise, Stu is the only one who doesn't get any points from this one. He'd gone for a 1-0 Bournemouth win with an Evan Nielsen goal. So no points for Stu. Max had gone for a 2-1 Bournemouth win. Krupi Jr. and Evan Nielsen as his goal scorers, but a Gibbs White goal for Forest. So bags himself a point for that. Matt had gone for a 2-2 draw with Awonyi, Anderson, Krupi Jr. and Evan Nielsen as his goal scorers. So no goal scorer bonus, but does get a point for the fact that it was a draw. I, too, had gone for a 2-2 draw, but I had Gibbs White and Tavernier as two of my goal scorers. I had Anderson and Evan Nielsen as either two. So I bagged 3 points.
Evan Nielsen should have said this. Evan Nielsen would score more goals if he spent more time on his feet instead of lying on the ground, because he did a whole lot of that.
Didn't know if you were going to go with that, or he would score a lot more goals if he was a better footballer. Didn't know whether that's where that was going.
He do a little bit. They do like a really nice bit of skill, and then just chuck himself to the ground and just be like, "What are you doing? There's nobody near you." I think in the end, the referee just gave him one because he felt sorry. It's like this poor lad going to give himself a concussion sooner or later.
Matt, but we know from, like you say, 5 years ago how windy it is down at Bournemouth. Maybe he's used to just getting blown over.
Now, don't be mean. That's a Europa League quality stadium you're talking about there. It'd be absolutely hilarious if they tell them, this stadium is not up to snuff. You have to play all your games at Southampton or something like that.
I mean, why did you pick Southampton, Paul? Was the
closest place to them?
Well, it'd be the closest non-league side if the Football League got a grid.
Ample places for people to hide in bushes and and whatnot. Let's not get into all of that.
I'm hoping that we are going to just after this is.
We'll leave it for next season. If it comes to that. So, what that does mean is that Matt ends the week with 1 point from the 2 games, Stu 2 points from the 2 games, myself 4 points from the 2 games, but taking the win with a whopping 5 points from those 2 games. It is Max. So, congratulations, Max, on winning the last week. Oh, well, the last 2 weeks of the season. He had the 2 points in week 37 as well. So well done to you, sir. Congratulations. So all that's left for us to do is to go through our season-long predictions, which were made all the way back in August of last year. So we'll go through the team-specific ones to start us off with. So we'll start with Hull. Obviously, as everyone is now aware, they finished 6th. And won the playoffs. Where did we all have them to finish? Well, I was the least optimistic of the lot, as I'd gone for them to finish 20th. So I thought they'd stay up, but not by much. Stu wasn't much more optimistic than me. He'd gone for 16th, so he did have a 6 in there. Just an extra 10 added to the front. And Matt was technically the closest of the three of us, as he'd gone for 14th. So I suppose no one gets any points there, but if you're giving out half points for sort of, pity, I suppose Matt gets a half point there because he was the closest, but he was still out by 8 places.
I'll take it. I'm not ashamed. I'll take it.
We'll take half points here, that's fine. Who will be the top goal scorer? Myself and Matt had an absolute nightmare here as we picked Enes Destan. When did he leave?
He went out on loan in January.
Oh, okay. And how many goals did he have at that point?
2, maybe. He had scored.
No, that's okay then. Stu kind of knocked this one at the park as he picked Ollie McBurney.
Yeah.
With his 18 league goals. Or was it 18 in all comps? I think it was 18 in all comps, actually. But yes, well done. Stu gets the first point of the season-long predictions with his Ollie McBurney selection. Well done to you. Borough, obviously they finished 5th. They very much did not win the playoffs. Where did we predict them to finish? Well, me and Matt were in lockstep on this one. We both predicted them to finish 9th. So we were both out by 4 places. Stu, not quite as optimistic. He predicted them to finish 10th. Can't really give half points there because, me and Matt were exactly the same. Who will be the top scorer? Stu and Matt had both picked Tommy Conway after he had finished the previous season as Middlesbrough's top goal scorer. I'd seen something. My previous season's prediction of Finn Azaz had done me right. So I went in a similar vein and I went for a previous season's signing that hadn't really hit the ground running. So I went for Morgan Whittaker and I was rewarded in the fact that Morgan Whittaker was indeed Middlesbrough's top goal scorer. He finished 1 ahead of Tommy Conway on 14 for the season. So point there for me. No points for Stuart and Matt. So sorry about that. Finally, from the team specific ones, Nottingham Forest, 16th in the end. We all had them to regress from their 6th place finish last year.
Yeah, 6th.
Stu had gone for him to finish 9th. Matt 10th. I was the closest. I'd gone for 11th, so I had him in the bottom half. But even that wasn't far enough down. Obviously, the Europa League campaign took a lot out of them. Were they in either of the cups till late?
They were just doing a Spurs better than Spurs did.
We got knocked out in the first round of both.
Annoying. Irritating.
An Ange special for the League Cup, and we got beaten by Hollywood FC on the telly.
Yes, of course. And no one got the top goal scorer prediction correct. Stu had gone for Dan and Doy, who started the season like a bit of a train. I think he had like at least he scored in the first game, and I don't know if he had like 2 or 3 after his first couple of games, but I think he went right off the boil from what I can remember.
He got injured and then struggled, and of course then Deitch came in and
ruined it.
Both myself and Matt had picked Igor Jesus. He had an okay season, but he wasn't Forest's top goal scorer this season. That honour went to Morgan Gibbs-White with 15 goals, which I didn't realise put him in as like the second highest English scorer.
The highest.
Or something like that.
Highest.
Was he? Sorry, it was the highest.
I'm not sure if it's the
English scorer in the league.
I'm not sure it's joint with Ollie Watkins, but he was the highest goal scorer, highest English goal scorer this season. And of
course, I was going to say, of course, for that, he was rewarded with no place in the England squad. So, yeah, make of that what you will. So, our championship season-long predictions. Who will win the division? Surprise, surprise, none of us picked Coventry City. I'd gone for Ipswich, Stuart had gone for Ipswich, Matt had gone for Ipswich. So, none of us got the point there. Who will finish second? Annoyingly, I picked Coventry City. So if I just swap those two round, I'd be sitting pretty on 2 points. Stu and Matt both went for Southampton.
Well, if they'd have started cheating earlier on in the season, who knows?
Yeah, why couldn't you started spying in October?
Maybe they don't do that
December.
Maybe they don't start until Christmas in Germany and Italy.
But it might be some sort of Christmas. Yeah.
Will Still.
Integrity,
that's the one.
Yeah, that's the thing. He likes to lose in the proper way.
Well, he just didn't learn that you on the continent you cheat and then you bring it back here.
They didn't have that in the French edition of Football Manager, I'm afraid, Matt. So
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, Football Manager cheat mode. Spy. Send my interns to spy. I mean, they've got to add that. They've got to add that in the next edition. If
they can include like a little mini game whereby security chase after him around the training ground perimeter. That would be
purchase a tree. Purchase a tree to carry with you. Stop off at on the way.
Yeah, that's that sort of thing where like it's almost like what is it, like Farmville or something like that. You have to have to harvest your own trees or bushes to be able to take with you. Who will win the playoffs? Obviously, as we now know, it was Hull. None of us had picked Hull. I'm going to leave my pick until the end because, oh dear.
I know yours. I think I know yours.
I remember Paul.
Stuart had picked Coventry, so they did get promoted, so technically he was sort of correct in that regard. Matt had gone with the hot hand of Birmingham off the back of them storming League One. Go on, lads. Break it to the group.
Leicester?
Correct.
Southampton?
Oh no! I mean, Southampton would have been exquisite had I have picked that. That would have been even better. But no, Matt is indeed correct. I had picked Leicester. Oh Jesus Christ! The 3 teams to get relegated. We all got one of these bang on because who in their right mind didn't pick Sheffield Wednesday to go down? But only one of us picked another of the 2 sides to go down. We know that I certainly didn't pick Leicester to get in the bottom 3. Did either of these 2? No, sadly, they did not. Stu had picked Charlton and Derby as his other 2 teams to go down. I also had Charlton, but I had Preston as one of my 3 to go down. Matt also had Preston alongside Sheffield Wednesday and Oxford. So Matt nailed 2 of the 3. So 2 points for Matt there. Point apiece for me and Stu. And sadly, none of us got the top goal scorer. I was the worst of the lot. I'd gone for Cameron Archer, sitting pretty on his 4 goals for the season. Slow news day if he's winning top goal scorer on his 4. Matt had gone for Jay Stansfield, who bagged 10. Stu was a bit unfortunate because his pick of Adam Armstrong was going to struggle with his 11 goals that he bagged before January, and then he was sold to the Premier League, albeit momentarily. He'll be back in the Championship next season with Wolves.
Year. Run that back next year.
Exactly. So, if anyone's keeping
which manager
score
is
there,
he coming with, Paul?
we don't need to discuss Mr. Rat, Mr. Ratty. Although if we do end up doing predictions for next season, I think we have to put in some extra sort of like specials and stuff. How many managers will just rat their way out of a club? How many spies will be caught in random bushes or changing into their second set of clothes in the local golf club and whatnot. So for anyone keeping score there, Matt in the lead with 2 points. Myself and Stu were only on 1 point apiece from the Championship. Moving up into the Premier League, none of us picked Arsenal to win the league. Stu and Matt both went for Liverpool to go back to back.
I'm happy
Poor
about
old
that.
Arnie.
I'll do it again. If he jinxes it, I'll do it again.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Every year.
I went for City, so I was close, but sadly, no cigar. Who makes up the remainder of the top 4? I went for Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea, so I got 2 of the top 4 correct. Didn't have Man United or Villa in my prediction. Stu went for City, Chelsea, Arsenal, so also had 2 of the top 4. Matt had gone for Man City, Man United, and Chelsea, so also had 2 of the top 4. Didn't have Arsenal in his top 4.
I don't know what happened.
So we're all tied on that one. Which 3 teams will go down? Well, look, I only got 1. I had Burnley finishing second bottom, so that's fine. I had Sunderland finishing rock bottom. Couldn't have got that much more wrong. And I had Brentford to go down as well, so I only got 1 of the 3 there. Stu also had Burnley, also had Sunderland, and also had Leeds. So he too only got one of the 3 teams. Matt, however, also had Burnley, so all 3 of us got Burnley spot on. He also had Brentford like me, but he'd been saying it for the last couple of seasons. He'd seen the writing on the wall from about 2012 or something like that. Wolves to go down. So Matt had been spouting it for a couple of seasons now, but he was indeed correct that Wolves would get relegated. So 2 points for him, point apiece for me and Stu. Top goal scorer, it was Erling Haaland with 27 goals. Matt had picked Alexander Isak.
Did I? That was stupid.
3 goals, 1 knee that's questionable, and Liverpool
ankle.
dropping a whole load of money on a player who's potentially not going to be back to the point he once was. Stuart had gone for Hugo Ekitike, 11 goals. I went for Victor Gyökeres, 14. So technically, I suppose I was the closest, but again, he almost doubled my goal scorer. So no points there, sadly. And then the bonus question, we said, how far will Forest go in Europe? We'd put a bit of a caveat on it because at the time of recording, they still weren't sure whether they're going to be in the Conference League or the Europa League. I'd gone winner if they were in the Conference League. Stu had gone winner in the Conference League. Matt had gone for final in the Conference League. Didn't have the optimism that the rest of us had. And then for the Europa League, both Stu and Matt had said the group stage of the Europa League. I was a bit more confident. I went for the quarterfinals, so I was very close. And obviously, if Porto hadn't, just decided to give away a penalty for one of the worst handballs I think I've ever seen, I might have been correct.
I mean, that whole 2 legs was absolutely hilarious because that own goal was an absolute worldie that they scored as well.
And then back pass to the keeper.
Yeah, back pass, it pinged it. It was like David Seaman had nightmares watching it sail over that keeper when he pinged it in. They got the player sent off within like 5 minutes of the home leg against Forest. So yeah, an absolute disaster on Porto's part.
Yeah, not a great moment, not a great season to be a Porto fan, shall we say? So that's all of our predictions. So I'd say that over the course of Matt probably had. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'd left out the ones to watch. I'll go through those.
One to watch last player of the season.
Yeah, Stu, can you remember who your one to watch for the season was?
No.
Well, if I tell you that your backup option of Joel and Darla.
Yeah, he left.
He had a stellar playoff final.
Are you going to say Liam Miller?
Stu's one to watch was Liam Miller. How do you feel about that pick?
Well, when he immediately came back from injury, absolutely fine for about 3 games, and then the rest of it, shit.
Lovely.
Hobnobbing it with Andy
My one to very good, very good. My one to watch. I'm quite happy with this because I've done this 2 seasons on the bounce now. Morgan Whittaker didn't hit the ground running after his January switch from Plymouth, but has looked sharp so far in pre-season, and his form could potentially be the difference between Borough making a dart for the playoffs or just falling short.
Or both.
Yeah.
And finally, I was happy with my one, but Matt should definitely pat himself on the back for this one.
Why do you think
I brought it up? Who you'd put? That's a good point. Yes. Very good point. Matt, who did you pick as your one to watch for the season?
I think I picked Elliot Anderson.
Give him his full title. Starting England midfielder, Elliot Anderson.
I was going to say, I think my prediction was Elliot Anderson will be the one to watch for this season, and also I think he'll take Morgan Gibbs-White's place in the England squad.
Yeah, that is the task for everyone listening. Go back and listen to the season preview podcast, because I do believe those words were the exact words that came out of your mouth, and more prophetic it could not have been. Yes, Elliot Anderson on his way.
I mean, starting
to the United States
starting for England, but yeah,
I think at this point you could argue that he's up there as potentially one of the most important players for England, really, because he's probably going to be the double pivot with Rice, and Rice likes to go forward, so I imagine Anderson will probably have to sit.
He's not got the complexion to play in America, though, has he? Jesus Christ.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. What could you possibly mean?
Born and raised in.
Wait until it's the game in Mexico. That'll be.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end. Is there anything anyone else would like to bring up at this point, or like a moment of the season that you want to discuss? Obviously, I can imagine that 50% of the podcast might have a particular moment of the season that they thought was particularly good.
We covered that in the first part.
Yeah, we have covered that. If we were gonna, obviously, like Wembley aside, if we were gonna pick sort of just like games, and again, this isn't meaning to rub it in, but the away atmosphere at the Borough game away for me was something to remember, because that was a really like good night with my boys again. Around Christmas time, massively enjoyed the atmosphere, even though the game was a bit ropey in patches again, but still, it's been a really weird year this year. The way that I think we can sum up the whole City sort of situation is by just echoing the words of Sergei Yakirovich in his speech on the balcony at the City Hall, in the sense that he told everybody he was brought in to make sure that Hull City stayed in the Championship, and he must apologise because he failed. There's one for the YouTube.
I just in my head, I've just got this thought that there's just one poor, solitary, sad bastard Borough fan just happened to be walking through Hull City Centre. It's that thing was going to like, oh, fuck you arsehole. Or something like that. Max, have either of you got a particular moment from the season that was stand out?
Probably the wee that I was having. It was a great one. Well worth it.
His most memorable piss of the season.
I'll put your mind slightly at rest, Max. My uncle went to the first Forest European Cup final. That goal was scored just before half-time, and my uncle was in a similar situation to yourself when Trevor Francis scored that goal. So all the way to Munich to miss the one of the 2 most important goals in Forest history. So that
Jesus.
Wow.
If you go my highlights of the season. I don't know, the second, third, fourth manager that we got.
You can't include the second in that conversation, surely.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird, isn't it? Because obviously, like the most stable of our three clubs was Stew's, which says, which is worrying given how the chairman had got into the season. So obviously, I wasn't like I was going to say self-inflicted. It was a different situation, but.
I was half expecting when you touted moments of the season, Matt to pick Evangelos fighting with the people on the basketball court.
Oh yeah, that was quality. Just
I just presume
is the hardest person in football.
I just presumed it was going to be. I just presumed it was going to be nailed on. It was the first half at the Stadium of Light.
It was the beating Sunderland 5-0 was just was brilliant to go to, and just kind of when you go in there thinking, hope we don't get beat, and all disappears.
Then you put in that
30 minutes, and you're like, this is lovely kind of thing. I can relax a little bit. But then they can score and put you back on your nerves, kind of thing. 4-1.
Yeah, true. Well, personally, I'll just go for the second to last game of the season, the home game against Watford, as I was sat directly in line as Morgan Whittaker smashed one in the top left-hand corner. Probably Borough's goal of the season, and I was there for it. So yeah, very nice.
I'll be honest and say mine is when we were placed under the embargo / fee restriction, because I think without that, I don't think Hull City would have gone up. Because we were gonna spunk £2.5 million on Louis Barry, which I think would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, and
I think because of the situation we were in, it allowed us to form a tight knit group, which I don't think we would have had that with all. We wouldn't have signed the misfits and players that we signed if we'd have had the money to spend. And I think really that was the saving grace for our seat. I think that was what turned out to be the best thing for us.
I just really hope he's learned from it going forwards.
I think with Jared Dublin and Martin Hodge, will.
I've not been able to buy anybody for 2 windows. Now I've got 200 million burning a massive hole in my massive back pocket. He's going to go fucking nuts this summer.
Well, he needs to remember that he's got a VAR / brand new pitch bill to pay for yet.
It will be an interesting summer, to say the least. All that's left for me to do is to say thank you to these three gentlemen for joining me for the majority of the season. And of course, to say thank you to all of you, the listeners, the viewers, for joining us for yet another traipse through the topsy-turvy world of English football in the ways of Nottingham Forest, Hull City, and my lot, Middlesbrough. I'd say join us again next week, but there won't be next week because there is no games now until August. So I hope you have a wonderful summer, and we might be back in the new year to go through some goings on ahead of the Premier League season for 2/3 of the podcast. But yes, we'll let you know in due course. But until then, it's thank you from myself, thank you from these gents, and we will see you around the corner. It's tatty bye for now.
So there we go. What do you think to that? That's it. It's all done and dusted now. Time for the dust to settle and move on to the World Cup and then a new season where some teams will be in different places in the new season. How exciting. Thank you for being here. If you've been here for the whole season and you've been here for all of the seasons up to this point, big thank you to you. If it's your first time, you picked an interesting one to pick up on, but, you can always go back. But big thank you if it is your first time. If you are here for the 100th time or the first time, do please consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave reviews where you can leave reviews, 5-star obviously, and share the podcast around. Also check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. Well, there we go. Looking forward to the new season. I'm going to see these guys back. Hopefully we'll see you back. But until then, I'm going to say bye and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.